Okay, so I just made the video, but the problem was I was talking for 24 minutes. And I'm not about to edit 14 minutes. So that's a lot of editing. So I'm going to remake and just cover the main points. Basically, if you haven't heard, Stephen Harper, Canada's Prime Minister, has prorogued Parliament. That's his own words. He said he's proroguing Parliament. Now he is not proroguing Parliament. If we don't already know this, Canada is a democracy ruled by a monarch. If you don't already know this, the head of state in Canada is the Queen of England. Slightly embarrassing considering it's the 21st century and we're ruled by a monarch. But basically it goes the Queen of England, the Governor General, who's basically the representative of the Queen of England in Canada, and then the third guy, the Prime Minister, who's the person we elect. Now, I'm going to quickly explain the electoral system. Basically, the electoral system, in the states you have districts, right? In each of the states you have districts that are separated by population. That's basically what we have. So I'm going to call them districts. I don't know what their proper term is. At least it's not coming to me right now. So I'm going to call them districts. Basically, for each district we have a representative that we vote in. We also have a provincial government that we vote in, but for the federal government we only vote once, and that is for the local representative. That vote for the local representative, if the Liberal representative gets voted in, let's say, then the Liberals gain that seat. And that's how we elect our Prime Minister. Whoever gets the most, whichever party gets the most seats, so whoever wins the most district elections wins the big election. Whoever gets the most seats in the House of Commons wins, basically. Now what that leads to is we can have two kinds of government, a minority government and a majority government. Minority government is you have the most seats, but you don't have over 50% of the seats, so you don't have total control over what the House of Commons says. Majority government, you have over 50% of the seats, so you have over 50% of the votes. You have the majority of the votes whenever you're voting on an important issue. And that's basically how the Canadian system works. I know it's confusing. I have to run that by you though, because it's very important to the current situation we're in. What's happening right now, Stephen Harper is the leader of the Conservative Party. Conservative, right wing. They're basically our Republican Party, but they're not Republicans, so I shouldn't really call them that. But they're our right wing party. They're in power right now. I know, but still. And they have 38% of the seats, I believe. So that's the most percentage, I know, right? 38% gets you elected, but yeah. I believe they have 38% of the seats. Now the reason that got them elected is because in Canada we have 4 legitimate parties. Now there's a 5th one called the Green Party. They're environmentalists. They never get a seat, so I don't consider them a legitimate party. I know some people are like, what, the Green Party? That's who I voted for. I'm sorry, you wasted your vote. What can I say? But there's 4 legitimate parties. Basically you got the right wing party, Conservative. They're alone in the right wing, okay? They're completely alone in the right wing. Then you have the Bloc Québécois. That's an other party. It's basically a party out of Quebec. It's a legitimate party. They get seats. But their main goal is basically to separate Quebec from Canada. In a lot of Canada that's taboo. They don't like talking about separation of Quebec. I say, why not talk about it? It's something I don't support, but it's something a large amount of people in Quebec support. Not the majority, but a large amount of people in Quebec support it. So it's a legitimate issue to discuss. And people just choose to ignore it. They don't even think about it as a possibility, which is wrong. That's besides the point. The other 2 left-wing parties are the Liberals and the Democrat. Basically, the only 2 parties to have power ever have been the Liberals and the Conservatives, the right-wing party and the left-wing party. Unfortunately, the new Democratic Party is gaining more and more support, which is driving away left-wing voters from voting Liberal. So, the Conservatives can get 38% of the vote and be in power because the left-wing voters are split. Left-wing voters who would have voted and elected seats for the Liberal Party have now elected seats for the NDP, the New Democratic Party. I don't know if I've said their full name yet. Which is a problem, and the Conservatives are in power because of that. So now, Stephen Harper, the Conservative leader, our Prime Minister, has denied the recession throughout the summer. Only recently did he admit the recession. And that has led to Canada not preparing for the recession because the recession's never going to come here. It's not like the States are very, very important to our economy. Oh my God. And now Canada's economy, at least Ontario's economy, is going to go down the gutter pretty soon because Ontario's economy is based right around the car companies. Very fun. Basically the tar sands in Alberta, which is the economy in Alberta, largely around all the oil that comes out of there. That's basically what the car companies are to Ontario. We have a lot of car companies, and we export and we import and we sell, and nobody's buying cars, which is a problem to Ontario. Yeah. And under Stephen Harper's watch, our economy is in very great danger of completely collapsing, which would be turmoil. Now, basically, what the Liberals and the NDP have said is, hey, when we combine our seats, we have 42% of the seats. That's more than 38%. So when we make a coalition of our two parties, we will have more seats than Conservatives, and we will take power, is what they've said. We just had a vote in October, this past October, so like 2 months ago. That was the outcome. The outcome was Conservatives in power, unfortunately. Now, there are 3 problems with this coalition. The first problem is it's not what the people voted for. The people voted. They didn't vote for a coalition between NDP and Liberals. While they voted for both the NDP and the Liberals, they didn't vote for a coalition between the two. They voted for the Conservatives. Unfortunately, the Conservatives are in power. But that's the way the people voted, and I respect the democracy. And a lot of people respect the democracy, which has led to there not being a sufficient amount of support for the coalition. Second problem was that the Liberal leader was going to be the leader of the coalition. And unfortunately, which is probably the reason the Liberals didn't get enough votes to go in power, the Liberal leader, Stéphane Dion, was a complete knob. Okay? Complete, uncharismatic, just did not leave a good impression when you watch him. And he was going to be the leader. People have problems with that. Third problem was that the Bloc Québécois signed their support of the coalition. And people are like, the Bloc Québécois support this? It must be evil, right? They're the separatist party. It must be evil. Which is stupid. They're a legitimate party. All they're saying is, yeah, the Conservatives are fucking things up and somebody needs to do something. So basically, Canada can choose, or basically, us left-wingers need to make the choice of either having the coalition overthrow Stephen Harper, which would lead to 38% of Canada or more being very, very, very upset because they feel their democratic right has been taken away and that their vote didn't count, which could lead to riots and utter chaos. The other option is Stephen Harper staying in power and our economy collapsing in Ontario and around Canada, which could lead to utter chaos. So we need to choose the lesser of two evils, and that's the problem that Canada's facing right now. I know I had to rush that. Very hard to get that in 10 minutes. I don't think I have. I think I'm going to have to edit, but subscribe, comment. Hope it didn't bore you, but yeah.